I don't want to be a product of my environment. I want my environment to be a product of me.
Hello everyone and welcome back to the movie calendar. My name is Leigh.
And my name is Terence.
And this week we're going to be talking all about Martin Scorsese's crime drama, The Departed. So a little bit of a departure for us with this one. We haven't really delved into this genre before, but it's a film that I love. I'm pretty sure it's a film that Terence loves as well. So we're going to go nice and deep into this one. If it's your first time here, welcome. Glad to have you. If you're watching us on YouTube, we're a pretty young podcast, so we'd love to a little bit of support. If you could give us a like, that would be amazing. It helps us to get discovered in these early days. Or if you're listening to us on your favorite podcast app and you get all the way to the end of this episode and you've enjoyed what we've heard, if you could leave us a nice review, that would be absolutely fantastic as well. If you've been here before, you know how it works. Everything in the description below, including time codes if you want to jump to the beginning. We'll do a little bit of housekeeping with the socials before we start the film discussion. So if you've been here before, you know what to do. Head on down. Terence, do you want to take it away with the socials?
Yes, we have lots of ways that you can connect with us. I guess the big thing we would like is for contributions on choosing things like dates of when you feel the film should appear on the movie calendar. So if you have an idea for when that should happen, shoot us an email. We'd love to hear your story. The email address is themoviecal@gmail.com. You can also add comments to our Instagram or on Twitter. Instagram, we are themoviecal, and Twitter, we are at themoviecal. And is that it? Oh no, we have a website too, themoviecalendar.com.
Yeah, all of these can be found on the website. Yes. They're all in the description below as well. Comment here on YouTube too. We'll respond to those ones and have a bit of a chat about the movies. At the end of the episodes, we announce what next week's is going to be. And we love feedback as well. Any feedback you have for us, we take on board. We've had some amazing ones so far, especially through email. It's been really cool. For those of you who were here last week for the Scott Pilgrim vs. the World episode, that one was a lot of fun to do for the 10-year anniversary of that film. Had some really good feedback about that one. And if you were concerned about having more dog noises in the background, I have moved my dog's water bowl away this week. It's in another room so that you won't hear that lap, lap, lap. Thank you so much for Terence for adding those graphics down in there on the episode. If you haven't seen it on YouTube, Terence added graphics for the sound effects that my dog was making.
I had to add it.
That was a thing, yeah.
I had to make it believable. I wanted to help your story, Leigh. No one ever would believe what you said it was.
It did make
Leigh doesn't own a dog.
Yeah, no, it did make it look far less suspect than the way it sounded just on its own. So anyone listening to the audio version of that one, I can only apologise. It sounded horrible, but the water bowl has been put away, so there shouldn't be any dog noises during this one, unless that's what you've come for. And if you have, then I do apologise. Maybe you'll hear something.
He might break out. He's a very cute dog. I can't wait till we see him make some cameo appearance.
Hasn't made an appearance yet. We might save it for a special occasion. Well, we are planning on doing 365 of these episodes, so maybe if we get to the 100th and we haven't had one yet, we might have to get him on camera if he's not feeling too shy.
Yeah.
But all of that out of the way, very excited to talk about this film. There's a bit of a history for this film with me personally. About 6 or 7 years ago, I decided to make the jump into purchasing films digitally rather than physically. I had a monstrous DVD collection, and Blu-rays were starting to get more affordable and come into the public consciousness a little bit more. And I was deciding whether to transfer to Blu-rays or to go digital. Ended up going with the latter. And The Departed was the very first film that I ever bought digitally to start that collection off. So yeah, this one has a warm place in my heart.
It was so cute. I say cute, I don't know. Leigh sent me a screenshot of the invoice of when he purchased this film digitally.
I'm a receipt hoarder.
Oh,
I have a folder in my emails. It's very very organized, my emails, and yeah, I've got a receipts folder, and it is the first thing in my receipts folder, or the oldest email that's in there, and yeah, it was super fun to see. So yeah, been
cool.
Really excited to talk about this one. If you haven't seen the film, it is an absolute recommend from both of us to go out and check out. This will be a full spoiler discussion, and this is a film that you kind of want to go into without knowing all too much, because there are things that can be spoiled. But no, so we've got, so it's The Departed, directed by Martin Scorsese, so starring Leonardo DiCaprio, Matt Damon, Jack Nicholson, Mark Wahlberg, Vera Farmiga, Martin Sheen, Ray Winston, and Alec Baldwin, just to name a few. There's obviously a much larger cast than that, but those are the main players. And it's a, as I said before, a crime drama, all about kind of double identities in a way. So it's about, people being like infiltrators into areas. So the two lead characters, one is a cop who gets put into the mob, and one is in the mob who gets put into the police department, and they have to both try and figure out who the other is. And that's kind of all we'll get into.
So good.
For now. It's amazing. It's actually based on a 2002 Chinese film called Infernal Affairs, which I actually haven't seen. I realized a couple of hours ago before recording this, it's on Netflix. And now that I've said it, it's probably going to get taken away by the time this episode gets uploaded, because that's just the way that works. Looking at you, Hunt for the Wilder People on SBS On Demand. I'm very keen to check out Infernal Affairs on Netflix. At least it is in Australia. I'm not sure about anywhere else in the world, but it's based off that film, so I'm gonna give it a watch. It probably this week, I reckon.
That sounds very cool. Another thing I'm going to talk about you, Leigh, to our audience. That was a surprise Leigh wanted to announce to me here just before we recorded. I went, hey, did you know this is a remake? Well, it's not really a remake, but it's based off this other film. He's like, what? Who told you?
I was like, how did you find out? Because a couple of days ago, like in person, when there was no microphones in the room, I was like, have you ever heard of a film called Infernal Affairs? And he said no. I was like, good, don't look it up. I'm going to make it a surprise for the podcast. I'd be like, hey, Terence, guess what? This is actually based on a foreign film. And I was going to blow his mind. And then, 2 minutes before we hit record on this, he's like, oh, hey, did you know this was on a foreign film? And I wasn't very happy, but, that's the way life goes sometimes. You roll with it.
When you mentioned it, I thought, oh, man, because I thought, is he putting another film in my list? I've got to rewatch The Departed again. I know already what we're doing next week. I'm going to have to try and find time to watch that. What is he doing? Does this mean it goes on the calendar? I don't know. All right, so we'll mention that. Oh, look, we should also say, look, you mentioned spoilers, massive spoilers. We are going to spoil this massively. Please don't listen any further if you do not know what happens in this film. All right, so there are also lots and lots of naughty words that are used in this film.
Yes, good point.
Lots of them. I like remembering quotes. I don't always remember them exactly, but I like writing them down and bringing them up in this in these episodes that we do. Some of them have naughty words. I'm still undecided if I'm going to come out and say it. We like to try to make these episodes quite clean. We want a broad audience. My daughter likes to listen to me talk, even if she doesn't know what she's listening to. She probably won't listen to this one. I don't like her listening to things about murder. But just a warning. If an occasional F-bomb drops, it won't be many, and it'll only be because it's quoting the film.
It just might organically happen with the amount that are in this film. On IMDb, it says that there's 238 uses of the F word alone and its derivatives in this movie. So it could just happen. If it does, on your podcast app, there'll be a little E. At least I know it is on the podcast app for iTunes. I'm not sure about any of the other platforms, but there will be a little E. Please don't do that, Terence. That is horrific. Oh, no.
Which one?
Oh,
is that the E?
It's the first one that you tried to do, I think. I don't know. Oh, that's awful. If you're listening to this through your podcast app and you're not watching it on YouTube, maybe don't have a look at what Terence was doing. It was gang signing an E, and it was not fun.
I shouldn't
for anyone to look at.
We should also try and high five each other. We're in split screen. Let's high five. Am I doing it the right way?
If we do end up being explicit in this episode, we will put it in the description below. I'll write it in there saying just expletive warning for this one.
Yeah.
If we want to get into a couple of the quotes, we'll put it in timestamps as well so that you can skip it if you've got kids in the room or whatever. But if you're listening to this in the car and you've got kids, in the back or something, we might give you a 15-second warning to try and get ahead of it, to pause it beforehand. But otherwise, from here on out, it's on you. If you hear them, that's as most we can do.
Yeah, live radio does 7 seconds, so we're going to give 15. We're going to try.
Yeah.
All right.
Most apps have a 15-second skip button,
Skip
so
forwards.
that's usually a good time.
All right.
But no, this film is just such an incredible achievement in so many different ways. For me, the biggest highlight of this film is the acting. And I kind of wanted to save this for a little bit later on, but I'm going to find it impossible to talk about this film without talking about the absolute hurricane of talented performances that are on screen in this film. Especially from Leonardo DiCaprio. I was having to think about it, and it's a toss-up between this and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, in my humble opinion, as to his best performances. And I think this one just edges it out. I absolutely think that this is his best performance for me. It is so incredibly subtle. Every frame that he's on screen, that the conflict that this character has, being, a police officer inside this mob. The conflict and terror, but yet confidence that he has to have is a masterclass. And if you are studying acting and you don't know this movie, every frame of it, then put the work in, because this one has to be studied if you are looking at becoming an actor. Everything is just incredible, especially from Leo.
I'm trying to think how many films I've seen with him in it, and I know so many, but I actually haven't seen. There are so many that we want to put on the calendar, and I've got to tell you, I'm kind of following Leigh's lead on a lot of these films, because I know a lot of them are amazing, and they've been on my list to watch for a long, long time. Like Wolf of Wall Street, I still haven't seen. I haven't seen The Revenant.
Man.
I haven't seen Gatsby. I haven't yet seen Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. But I know they're all amazing. I have seen Django. What's the full title of Django?
Django Unchained.
Django Unchained. I think that of the Leo films, or the films I've seen that Leo's in, incredible in Django Unchained and in The Departed. But definitely, I think of these two films, Departed, absolutely. And I don't know why he didn't get the Oscar win for this film.
Yeah. Well, we're going to get into the Oscars in this film a little bit later. We'll do a section called Oscars and The Departed. You'll see it in the description below, because there's some really interesting things that happened with the Oscars and this film, which I don't know how much of this is true. I did quite a bit of research this week, and not a lot of it is documented in a way from mostly credible sources. It's mostly hearsay, but that's right. We're not a professional newscasting association, so we can go on it. I don't care. I think it's all just a bit of fun. And if you want to correct in the comments, then feel free to correct us. But no, really interesting stuff. But no, the performances all the way around, everywhere from Matt Damon and Jack Nicholson. Yeah. Absolutely. Like, I was going to say holding their own. Like, Jack Nicholson needs to hold his own on screen. He's such a veteran.
Far out.
And so good. He could be asleep in a film and you'd still be captivated.
Imagine the intimidation of saying you're gonna play alongside Jack. You're gonna be, oh man, that is unbelievable to think that you're gonna be working with him, and the role that he was in. How cool was he? How awesomely animated did that role let him be? Not to the Joker animation, but he was playing a made up character there, but he was unbelievable in this. So creepy. So scary.
Yeah. Most of the reason why
cool
he did it was so that he could kind of sink his teeth into being a villain again. He'd done a lot of rom-coms and things leading up to this, and he was just like, I need a good villain to just be for a while, like a real bad guy. And so he had so much input into the development of this character. A lot of it was based off a prolific criminal called Whitey Bulger in the area.
Wow.
I don't know too much about him. I didn't do my research on that. I read that and I was like, okay, I'll leave it at that. I don't really need the knowledge of criminals in my brain, so I just stopped there. If you want to go ahead and look at who that person is, then go for it, or you might already know. If you do, I'm sorry, we're not going to talk about it. I don't know enough about the subject. But yeah, so he had a lot of input into the scenes, and a lot of the scenes that he was in were improvised on the day. like the one that stands out to me the most is the scene in the restaurant where he's accusing Billy, Leonardo DiCaprio's character, of being the rat that he's been looking for, and it's just, he's so terrifying in that scene, and you can see in Leo's performance and just the way that he's reacting to him, it's all so real and genuine, so natural, and you're so scared for this, for Billy in this scene, but absolutely holds his own in that moment when, Jack pulls out the gun, when Frank pulls out the gun in his face after dropping it on the floor, and it's an incredible performance, and I could talk about every scene that they're in together, or just every scene that Leo's in, but I'll drop them in sporadically. But for me, this is the Leonardo DiCaprio show, and it's such a shame that he wasn't nominated for this film.
Really?
At the Academy Awards, yes, but it was more of a choice than it was a snub. So again, we'll get into that in a little bit. A little bit of a taster for later.
All right. Matt Damon.
Oh, Matt Damon's character, Colin Sullivan, one of the most punchable characters in cinema. I don't know. For me, I just want to punch this guy in the face, and I think that's not a bad thing. I think that's a real testament to his performance and how good he is as this character. Like, just that real slimy, when he's bragging about how good he is at being a liar, and the way that he, speaks to women in the film is just gross. Everything about him is just is not cool. I've got some headcanon for him.
Okay.
Which I'll talk about a little bit. Actually, no, we're here now, so I might as well give it a go. But I really like the fact that they decided in the script to give the character erectile dysfunction. It was kind of a really nice kind of opposite side of the coin to like Leo's character and to Frank, who he's under, who's just this, massive, big man Frank.
Yeah.
So, and I think that, and watching it back this week a couple of times, there's moments that go against it, but I was for the longest of time thinking that character was gay. He was homosexual.
Okay.
Because of the way that he's got that classic, and like in the closet homosexual, obviously, he's got that classic like overcompensation when he becomes a police officer for the first time. Every time he's like looking at a woman or ogling and whistling and like damn, like it's always in front of other men. It's never done on his own volition. He's in the lift, or he
needs an audience.
Exactly. I could be absolutely completely wrong. But he'll be on the phone will ring, and that's when he'll start his aggressive sexual move towards sort of Viggo Famira's character. And then he's like, "Oh God, the always the worst timing," and then like walks off. It's always those, or the doorbell will ring, and then he'll start, and then he'll walk off again. Yeah, it's again, I could be completely wrong.
And there's definitely homophobia that goes on.
It made sense, exactly. Yeah,
with his character as well. Yeah, hey, that's a great angle. Why not?
I mean, possibly.
Why not? It shows why he's so insecure as well.
Yeah.
He is trying everything he can to be all powerful. He's hiding a massive part of who he is, and this goes in the whole theme of the undercover aspect. We've got a cop who's pretending to be this. We've got a man who is something that he's not saying that he is, and he's denying himself the opportunity to be himself. There are so many layers to that.
Yeah,
why
you're
not?
absolutely right. I think, and this could just be my brain putting that together because I'm looking for those extra layers.
Why not? Why not?
Yeah,
I think that's totally plausible.
I could be wrong, but
totally.
for me, it makes sense watching this character. And seeing just the way that he acts, but he could just be like that. Who knows?
Look, he's so hateable, and the way you said it was perfect. This is a great testament to his acting and also the writing. And this is in other films as well. Like when we spoke about Parasite, I had the same feeling to the entire cast there, but it was done so well that was the reason that I loved it, that I applauded everything about the film because they made me hate the characters so much.
Yeah.
So he did such a brilliant job with this, and acting, pretending to be someone who's pretending to be someone else, has got to be a difficult thing for anyone to do.
Yeah.
But dropping in and out of on-screen character is so multi-dimensional, which all of them do so well, because they're all on the take by another facet of authority.
There are so many characters in this film that are leading, double lives, so to speak. The themes of duality are just rampant in this film. There are at least 5 characters that aren't who they appear to be. So, like, Billy Costigan,
I wrote 5,
and Colin Sullivan are our 2 main ones.
Yeah.
So they're a cop pretending to be in the mob and in the mob and pretending to be a cop. Then you've got Frank Costello himself, the big boy of the mob. He is actually an informant for the FBI. So there's another one. Then you've got the muscle man for the mob, Delahunt.
So was he an actual snitch?
He was. Yeah. Well, when he's dying on the couch, and he calls Billy over, he says, "When I figured today, whoever didn't turn up was going to be the rat."
Yeah.
And then I realized that I gave you the wrong address, but you turned up anyway. So he knows that Billy is the rat. And then he grabs him and goes, "Why didn't I tell them? Why didn't I say anything?" And then he dies. And he's trying to tell him in that moment that he is also a cop. He's also an informant for the...
I was confused by that. I was thinking, is this why? Is this why he's saying it?
Yeah, so him as well.
So his last words are, "Tell me why I didn't tell no one. Tell me why." And that was when Billy grabs his gun. He's about to silence him. But then he realizes...
you don't need to. I'm on your side, was what he was saying.
Right. All right, good. And of course, Frank's character doesn't believe the news.
Of course he wouldn't.
Delahunt was an informant.
Because he's so paranoid.
He wants us to think... Wow, okay. So did Delahunt know that Billy was also...
No. Not until that moment, not until that day. Yeah.
Okay,
so
cool.
they wouldn't have known who they were. I can just imagine an alternate film where, like, the special investigations unit, like, told them about each other, and then so, like, after going to do, like, a mob job, they just, like, go back to an apartment, drink beers, and be like, how good are we that we're in this together? Yeah, like, but no, they, like, it would just add to the inherent risk of that operation. But I can just imagine that as, like, a buddy cop kind of thing happening, and they don't really get along maybe in real life, like, "Oh, I'm going to be the one that busts him." No, I'm going to be the one that busts him. I think that would be a lot of fun.
It's cool how Delahunt and Fitzy, they're out the brasserie, and they're the ones. He's the one that instigates how to find if it's a copper.
Yes, he does. Very clever. And also, cool. the fifth one that I have on the list of the one that we know about is Trooper Barrigan.
Yep. Yeah.
At the end, and again, we've said spoilers already, so it's your own fault if you're this far in, who ends up killing Billy Costigan and the other trooper as well, before getting killed himself by Sullivan. There's a lot of death in this movie. In fact, there's a section we do a bit later called What About When? All of the ones that I have are about character deaths in this film, one of which I just mentioned then, but we'll go into more detail into it in a little bit. But no, I think all of the characters in this film are just so well realised and bounce off each other so well, and you're absolutely right, it comes down to having a really good script to work with. It was really, really cool that I think it was Plan B, which is Brad Pitt's production company, bought the rights to the script.
Really?
Which is why you'll see Brad Pitt's name as a producer of the film. So
after
Infernal Affairs came out, Brad Pitt bought the rights, the Hollywood rights to make the movie, and then Warner Brothers came on board to do it.
Good move.
It was originally supposed to be Brad Pitt and Tom Cruise in the 2 lead roles, which would have been a different film, to say the least.
Yeah. Oh, well, I don't think it would have been as gritty.
No, probably not. I mean, depending on who they got as director, I guess, but...
Yeah, and I'm guessing you are going to want to talk a little bit about Scorsese. We'll talk about him shortly, right?
Yeah, a little bit. We'll stick with the characters for now.
Let's keep going with characters,
while we're on that thread.
All right, who do you want to do next? Do you want to
we've got to do Frank.
All right, Frank. Jack Nicholson.
Because Jack Nicholson is obviously a listener of this podcast, so we've got to do him service as close to the top as possible. So sorry we took so long to get to you.
Thanks for joining us,
Mr. Nicholson. We're here now, and the rest of the pod is going to be about you. So
call him Jack. Call him Jack.
Jack. Yeah, my friend Jack.
Channeling his inner villain. I don't know what other... of course, he was in The Shining. He was The Shining, the villain of villains. And, his tilted forward face and upward-looking eyes, if I had the way... Leo can do a good Jack Nicholson, right?
He does. Leo does a
incredible
great Jack impression, which he does. He's only done it very, very sporadically, but it's a lot of fun to watch him do it.
So Frank's character.
Big
What
Daddy
about him?
Frank. He is just... He's terrifying. He's so unpredictable, I think would be the word for Frank. Like, he'll rock up in a scene and he'll have blood all over his arms and his shirt will be ripped, and you'll go,
how good was
of
that?
course, it's Frank Costello. Like, you of course that makes sense for that character. Or you'll be sitting having breakfast with him and he'll just pull a rubber bag out from under the table and there'll be a severed hand inside of it that he's telling a story to try and make a point. And
hell
it's just...
that about?
Yeah, it's terrifying. And then when you find out a little bit later on that he is an FBI informant, it blows your mind. There's so many layers of betrayal in this film. I mean, talking about themes of duality, themes of betrayal in this film is crazy because there are so many people betraying each other and they all hate the idea of being betrayed.
They applaud loyalty and who can I trust? No one is trust. Even when he's talking with his number one man, Mr. French.
Yep.
And they're like, who can we trust this guy? No. And he's saying, you couldn't trust your wife, could you? No. And then it cuts to the scene of her strangling his own wife. But then she became reliable.
Yeah,
I knew she wasn't going to do anything. That was nuts as well. But with early on, when you see Frank talking about, I think he's talking about what he does. He's talking to Colin as a child. He's talking to all the kids that he's grooming. Remember in the opening scenes?
Absolutely, he's grooming.
And it cuts to those scenes where he's just executing. He executes a man and a woman on the beach. And just boom, boom, emotionless. And when the woman falls diagonally, he goes,
laughing.
Look how she fell. And Mr. French is like, you need to see
somebody, Francis.
You need to see someone. Just that really sets the tone. And how in that full opening montage of what's going on, he doesn't actually... I think Scorsese directs him so you never see Jack Nicholson's face in full light. He's never lit until he steps out of the shadow and he says that line, I've written it down, until when you're facing a loaded gun, what's the difference? Cops or criminals. So all that way, building that was so good, and you realize who this guy is. He is a shady character.
Yeah, there's a few... that was very good. Good noticing. Look at you picking up on filmic techniques. You good man, you.
I like a pun here and there.
There are a few filming techniques that are done here that are uniquely Scorsese. Which again we'll talk about in a sec, but we'll stick with the characters for now.
All right.
I love my favorite character in the film, as much as I love Leonardo DiCaprio's performance in this movie. Has to be Mark Wahlberg's Dignam. He is, and I can't quote anything that this man says in this film because it is all just vile and foul, but my goodness, he is so good. It must have been so much fun for him to throw his old Boston accent on and just go ham in a film, because he doesn't get to do it all the time. Yeah. And same with Matt Damon as well, throwing on that old... Yeah, the old Boston accent to just be in the movie it was nice. Have been such a delight.
That was a bit of throwback to Good Will Hunting.
Yep.
I was listening going, maybe I should watch that. I'll sneakily fit that in between some of the films, or maybe that will appear. I don't know.
Yeah.
We just watch the same thing. See some Robin Williams as well. Aww.
Oh, Robin Williams.
Oh, I know.
It was his, actually, at the time of recording this, it's going to come out a couple of days after we record, but it's his 69th birthday.
Oh, all right.
So R.I.P. to Robin Williams. You are sorely missed, and you are a great beloved man.
I wonder if we'll see any of his films on the calendar.
We will
I reckon we'll be able
absolutely
to.
see some of his films on the calendar. I can think of a couple straight up that I
right.
want to put on there.
All right, cool. Well, we'll do
No
that.
spoilers yet.
But Mark Wahlberg. Okay, Dignam. Dignam?
Oh,
Am I saying that
yes,
right?
Dignam.
Dignam. Man, the first time we see him with Martin Sheen, no less, in that
Another great one.
office, they play the straight guy and Dignam. Man, what a potty mouth. What a potty mouth. Dropping F-bombs, and then the big one, holy moly. I was not expecting that, but he would have loved just being horrible, vile man with his
But he's
language.
actually one of the, like, I want to say best, but best as in good, as in using the literal word of good, like Superman does good things. Like, he's one of the good characters in the film, like one of the few that's in there.
He wasn't. There was no duality going on with his character. No.
He was
the good guy to the
straight and
end.
narrow all the way.
Yeah.
In fact, he was so
and
upset
Queenan.
when Queenan died. Like, he was, and found out that he was no longer going to be part of this elite unit that they had built together. Like, you can feel the history of those two characters having worked together for such a long time. In that moment where he's so violent. He just has this violent outburst when he finds out that he can't do the running the snitches anymore, and he's like, I just quit then. There's no point in me being in here if I can't run it the way that I want to do it. So I'm out, and probably not the best move. And flying on your emotions like that, possibly not the best either. But yeah, you can tell how much passion he had for what he did, and as much as he gave Billy so much crap over the entire course of the film, being like, you're not a tough guy, you just pretend to be one. Like, he genuinely cared about him and wanted to see him succeed.
That was his way of coercing him and driving the anger and, fueling him. He knew how to bring out the best in his undercover cops, That's
a good point.
That was why
I never thought of it like that.
That was why he was doing it. He was doing it on purpose. But look, he also provided the comic relief in this film. Every time he was in a scene, except for the one where he quits and the very final scene, I was ready to laugh. Yeah. I thought, I nearly was able to go, good, and my shoulders could come down again. I'm like, good, what are you going to say? What is going to blurt out of your foul mouth? Actually,
that's something that we haven't really mentioned yet. Like, we've sort of thrown it in because we kind of tend to gravitate towards this kind of cinema, I've noticed. But yeah, this film is really funny for as dramatic.
In its bits.
Yeah, for as dramatic and dark as the movie is, they inject so much humor into it as well.
Yeah.
Which is so nice. It's a reprieve because it's a long one. It's like 2 hours and 40 minutes. It's very long.
I forgot to check the time of it when I watched it, and it's very late.
It can feel it at times, but at the same time, I don't know what I'd take out to make it shorter. It all seems to fit in there really well.
I don't think it needs to be. It had some really good energy, and the writing and the plot line was so good. You were kept on edge all the time. What crazy thing are they going to do? Who are they going to pin this on? Yeah. I spent half my time trying to think back all the names. Like, who is this guy? How does this piece go in? So making you think about the plot all the way through adds to the hook of keeping you really focused on what's happening. And I did watch it a couple of times through before this episode is being recorded now. And the first time I saw it was in the cinemas on its cinematic release in 2006. Nice. And I honestly didn't remember at all how it ended. And the last 5 minutes of the film, I was thinking, nuts. I remember when he gets shot. Oh, I didn't remember when he gets... Oh, I didn't remember that. I didn't remember that either.
Yeah, so much death.
Unbelievable. But I totally forgot what I was going to get to. Back to when you said a lot of Jack Nicholson's scenes were ad-libbed. I wonder if the scenes with Mark Wahlberg had been ad-libbed as well in any way. Specifically, the scenes that he had with Alec Baldwin. Because the two of them, another great, unbelievable. And him putting on a Boston accent as well, him being able to drive into that was just amazing. He's got his Irish heritage as well. Is he Irish? I don't know.
Alec Baldwin. I think he's from New York, but I'm not sure of his heritage.
I'd love to say he is, but I see him in 30 Rock and a few things, and he always jumps into the swing of that.
He was so at home in this movie as well.
Yeah, but he was able to swing with any of the insults that Dignam's character threw at him, and I like to think that was just them going, all right, just hurl insults at each other, go.
Yeah. I'd say it would have been a combination of both. I'd say that in the script they would have had variations of that, and then they just would have workshopped it together, those two, knowing how good they are.
Let's say that's how it was.
Yeah, I'd say that they would have had so much fun doing those scenes, especially. Yeah. And you could almost feel the energy in the room as well with them doing it. Of just all the other actors and extras in that room seemed like they were having a great time when those two were riffing on each other.
I would have loved to have just been cast on that first table when they were introducing it. I'll be a guy that just sits in that room. Yeah.
Yes, please.
And one of the guys, the FBI agent in that room, was actually a Wahlberg as well.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the relation is there, but
I think it's his brother.
I saw that too. Oh, really?
Robert Wahlberg. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yep.
There you go. I don't know.
You can see the resemblance in the face in a few of the shots. Comment below if I'm totally off the mark, but I think it is. I think it is. Yeah.
People will tell you too. The internet is ruthless
Good,
when it comes to making mistakes. Luckily, our audience isn't all that outreaching at the moment, but maybe one day we'll see.
Tell us. Martin Sheen, incredible. Love his role.
Queenan.
Yep.
Queenan, so good. He's kind
really
of the first
stand-up character.
Yeah. He's the first death that impacts in such a heavy way. Like, is he he's the first lead, kind of semi-lead character to die? I think he is. Everyone else has just been like mobsters or random cops or...
Yeah, I think... Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
Because after him is when Delahunt dies.
Delahunt dies after that in a really beautiful scene, actually. But I'll talk about Queen and that specifically that moment in What About When's. I've got that as one of mine.
Okay.
But yeah, such a good character, and again, someone who looked like they were having a great time. Ray Winston.
Yes, I wanted to go to him
as Mr. French, or Arnold as he's referred. I also think that when they're having that scene that we were talking about before in the restaurant with Jack and Leo, where he's accusing him of being the rat, he says, "I haven't needed money since I stole Archie's milk money in the 3rd grade." I think Archie is Arnold, who is Mr. French. I absolutely think that's the case. I think they have known each other since primary school. But
is Archie a nickname for Arnold?
I'd say
he only mentions him by his first name once in the film.
Yeah, I absolutely think that it's the same Archie that's still with him to this day. Apparently they didn't get along very well on set, which is really? Quite interesting. Again, that's all hearsay. I have no proof of that, but I read it somewhere and thought it was quite interesting.
Wow. Okay. Oh, that's a bit disappointing. I'd rather think about a couple of actors like Alec and Mark. Get on like that. Yeah. Why don't you? I love Ray Winston, and I love Sexy Beast. He's the lead in Sexy Beast.
I haven't seen that.
He's amazing film. He is a British actor. So listening to him speak, it was kind of cool. I'm thinking, okay, Irish, Boston, American kind of thing. Okay, I didn't think much of Jack Nicholson's Boston accent, to be honest. I heard it like once or twice when it came out. I'm like, oh, there you go. You're trying to be.
But then again, like even if you are Martin Scorsese, if Jack Nicholson comes on set and starts doing that, you go. Okay, cool. Do what you want. That's what we're going with.
Just drop the odd R so we kind of believe you every now and then.
Yeah.
Say car.
Oh no. Terence is always the one having a go at me for doing accents. And
that was my first one.
That was wonderful. Just one more time for the listeners at home. How did you say that?
No, I will not.
Damn it.
You drop the R. I don't know. Anyway, they do it really well. I only heard it a couple of times.
Yeah.
All right, and Vera Farmiga.
Vera Farmiga, I wanted to save till last. I think that they could have really used a script supervisor who was a woman on this film, or just a straight up writer who was a woman. Because, no offense to the writers of the film, but I don't think they really know how to write female characters all that well. Because I don't think that she's very well served in the movie. And she's supposed to be incredibly smart. She went to Harvard, and she's a psychologist, and she just does everything wrong as far as what a medical professional would do. And yeah, I think that she could have she could have used with a little bit more love in the script. The actor is incredible. She's amazing. I love her in everything that I've seen of hers, even this, with what she had to work with. But yeah, I would have loved to have seen more of her. She was actually again, haven't seen Infernal Affairs, but she's apparently an amalgamation of a couple of different characters.
Wow.
From the original film that this is based off.
Yeah.
Which I can't wait to watch. But yeah, a little underserved for women in film for this one. But I guess that's kind of the point. Is it's this whole idea of this toxic masculinity, infiltration and duality. But yeah, it was a little sad to see.
A lot of misogyny,
the misrepresentation.
Yeah, look, I could see her in a totally different role. She's in Bates Motel, I think. She's the mother, but she has a lot of charisma as well. Like, she'd be able to do anything, because the way she was playing with these stupid flirting, what Colin was hamming on really thick. I'm like, why are you falling for this? What is going on? Don't be so silly. But I kind of agree with you. She was such a strong character, or meant to be. But yeah, of course, it's like, what are you doing? These guys are patient.
There genuinely was complexity there. Like when she's in bed with Colin, and he's talking about how, look, if you want to leave, like, you've got to be the one to get out. I'm Irish. I'll live with a mistake for the rest of my life. Like, you've got to be the one to go. And you can seriously see the conflict in her performance, where she's like, oh, maybe a new city is a good idea. Like, just kind of deflects it into what they were talking about before, and she delivers a good performance. But I just wish there was a little bit more for her to be as a character in the film. Nothing against the performance; it's the character that I have issues with.
Yeah. Yep. Fair enough. All right. I reckon. I'm good with characters.
Yeah,
I could
good.
talk more about Ray Winston.
I wanted to get that out. That was fun. Good.
Yeah, I think that was good. I love Ray Winston as well. Just to go back to him, I love how he was like a what would you call it? Not a guiding light, because that has nice connotation, but he was a central figure. Like, whenever he was in a scene, you knew where he stood.
Yeah.
I liked his entry into Colin. I'm going to flick between using the characters' names and the actors' names.
When Billy meets him for the first time.
Yeah, in the bar.
That's such a good scene.
That's so good. The way, do you know who I am? Or, I'm the guy that says who you can hit.
Who you can't hit. That's not necessarily a guy that you can't hit, but he's almost a guy that you can't hit. So I'm going to make a ruling on it right now. You don't hit him.
So, and then he goes and hits him.
Then what are you drinking? Just the pause. Cranberry juice.
It was great, and just cracking the wrist cast.
Yeah,
really. So I love. Yeah, I wanted to mention Ray Winston's character.
He's a real good character.
A little bit more props too. Cool.
I just want to think. I've sung Leo's praises so much already, but just one last little one to cherry off the character section here for the film discussion. I can't think of a better performance almost in almost any film. He's so good. Like, just the subtleties that he has in his eyes whenever he's supposed to be strong, but he's scared. Like, he plays he's got at least 4 or 5 different things happening under the surface at once. And it shows, but it's not over the top. I don't know how he's done it, but it is an absolute masterclass. And I couldn't see anybody else do it as well as he does. We're going to talk about the director in just a moment. We probably might even make it next before we go into things like the plot and the writing.
I agree with Leo. He deserves a bit more.
Oh, he is so good in this film. Not that he needs any more praise from anyone online about people gushing about how good he is, but I have to reiterate just what an amazing performance it is, and for me this is his best. Yeah, making a ruling on it right now, this is his best performance for me. So far at least. He's still got hopefully quite a career ahead of him. But yeah, for me this is where he absolutely shines as the best. And yeah, again, if you're studying acting in any way, please like study this performance, especially. Scorsese's really good at this. De Niro's performance in Taxi Driver is another one that you should study. But yeah, that's it. I'll cap it off here. You want to talk about Scorsese?
Yeah, okay. I'm just going to do something with my camera while you do that. I'm just going to awkwardly stand up and fix a little thing.
That's fine. Well, I have quite an interesting take about Scorsese, and with this film, not so much his other work, but I am not entirely too sure as to how necessary it is to have Scorsese as a director of this film, given how good the script is and how amazing these performers are in the movie. Now, I completely understand that Scorsese is the one that brought all of these people together and got the performances out of them, like I do.
Yes.
But the sheer talent that is in front of the camera here, I think outshines the talent of what's happening behind it. And this is not a slant or a slide against Scorsese. I think he's brilliant and he has such a unique style. Like Taxi Driver is such a brilliant film, and Goodfellas, like those movies can't happen without Scorsese. Like his stamp is on those movies, and you can't do those without them. But this one, like if you think about the movies that we've spoken about already for the movie calendar, they've been very director focused.
Yeah.
So like Parasite, Inside Out, John Wick, Hunt for the Wilder People, and Scott Pilgrim, like those movies don't exist in their statuses without the directors behind them. Like they don't work in the way that they've done. They're stylized in a way that does not work without the people behind the camera that are behind the camera. With this particular one, I don't think you need Scorsese behind there because of how good the script is and how good the actors are. I think if you keep everything the same and put a different director behind there, maybe even one that's got a more of a unique visual flair, it could even be more interesting than what it is. But I don't necessarily think, because it's pretty stock standard. There's nothing really all too unique about the shots. There's a few moments here and there that have some sort of heavy Scorsese elements, like taking out frames, during heightened moments and freeze framing and things like that. But if you hired someone who was kind of trained in how to do like a Scorsese impression, I reckon you could do this without him.
Well, I mean, then that's a reason alone that you needed Scorsese, because someone would be hired to do a Scorsese impression. However, I think you could get a lot of people listening to this saying, "What are you talking about, Leigh? You're totally discrediting the director's talent here and the director's impact on what the outcome of a film looks like." Because the director will have input on everything, every angle, the lighting, the music choices, all these kinds of things. And I think if a different director were behind this, it would be a totally different film. The director gives the direction to how an actor should play a certain part as well, in terms of the subtleties of the emotion, all this that can actually slightly change the viewer's perception of characters. So, I think I think I understand what you're saying, that this film would be a masterpiece no matter who directed it, because it's written so well. I think the way it has the film it is only the film it is because it's a Scorsese film.
Yeah.
It's his style. You couldn't put it in another director's hands and have the same film feel, the same look, and have the same out of the actors. You could get the same intensity, but
not to backpedal on what I just said, but I think with regards to like who the shining stars are within films, like I very much am attracted to movies because of a director's eye and a director flair. But for me, this film belongs to the actors. Like,
okay. I do see.
If you kept Scorsese here and you changed all of the actors, I don't think it works. But if you keep the actors and you change the director, I still think that this movie is as good as what it is. Is kind of what I'm trying to say, if that makes sense.
Very strong. There's a strong plot to this, and very good script and amazing screenplay as well. You're right. There are the Scorsese-esque moments, which I didn't realize were Scorsese, but choices on lighting and things like we mentioned with the shadow at the beginning. A lot of those, and maybe it's a sign of the times, a lot of those seem quite obvious to me, and I think, oh, okay, he's a dark character, let's put him in the shadows. Okay, I get it. I did notice a few things in here that I was wondering if they are Scorsese things or if they were relevant to the story. And I'm not sure if I was looking for things as well, which I'm realizing these days when I watch a film, I am now looking for things to really identify.
I'm so sorry that that's happened to you.
No, I don't think it's ever been different. I always did do that. I liked picking up on things, but now I'm a little bit more heightened to it. So I noticed in scenes, a lot of the scenes where there were bad characters, especially in the opening parts of the film, when you see Frank walking in the shadows through what looks like a mechanic's workshop, he's walking past these scaffoldings that have X marks.
I was going to ask if you noticed the X's on the screen.
I'm so glad, because I picked up on those. And when I watched the second time around, so I watched it back in 96 or 97, then I watched it 2 times leading up to this. And the second time, because I picked it up the first time, second time I was really trying to take note. And the reason I thought about it was there's a scene with Matt Damon, right near the end, where the chase is starting to come to a climax, where they're so close to finding each other, and he's scanning the surveillance footage in that area. He's in the office. And you see a shot where in the background, it's like a gobo, a light has been fixed to cast a shadow of an X, or the light comes through to create an X on the wall behind him. And then a lot of shots, they're pointing up and it shows the light pattern on the wall as an X. And when Queenan falls,
the X's on the windows.
X's on the windows. And the last one is when Colin goes into his apartment and he's surveying his new view of the apartment he bought. The camera kind of just dollies across inside looking out, and his window has an X across the window pane, which isn't there later on. So it's very... I was thinking, wow, okay, so this X thing is a thing.
Yeah, usually when they're more dramatically put on the screen and more noticeable, it's usually when a character's about to die. You'll see them on the screen right before a character dies. Did you actually, quickly jumping back to last week's movie, Scott Pilgrim versus the World, did you notice the X's in that film as well?
Yes, there were 5 X's above a road he was walking down.
Did we talk about it?
I don't think we did. But
there are X's all over that
character.
film. Like the swing set makes the shadow of the X, and there's at one point there is 7 X's in one shot as well.
Yes, they're up on the street signs above the lane.
We must have forgotten to talk about it, but yeah, they're everywhere in that one. And again, before we get too far away from it as well, from the Martin Scorsese discussion, I just want to say that I absolutely think that the man is a genius filmmaker, and he has made some of my favorite movies of all time. Please don't come at me with your hate if you love Martin Scorsese. I think he's brilliant as well. It's just that, for me, the standout things in this film is the acting. And
absolutely.
Put a pin in that one, and
I agree. I agree.
On Twitter if you want. I don't really care.
No, I agree. I know what you're saying. I wanted to mention that as well. Because not too many people who don't know about how films are made might not really understand what a director does and the influence a director has, rather than just saying action and cut and put the camera here. So
that's all they do, right?
Yeah. And then they win Oscars. They win Academy Awards for what they do.
They sit in a chair that's that's got their name on it.
I got one of those here. I take it to picnics.
Yeah. And some have a video village, and some, no, I've got to be in there in the scene. And I've listened to commentaries.
I know what a director does.
I didn't actually see if there was a commentary for this film. I don't think there is.
I wouldn't have been able to concentrate on the commentary. The third time I watch it, I would still be trying to go, what was that guy's name again?
I'm still a little gun-shy on commentaries after I listened to the cast commentary of Scott Pilgrim vs. the World and learned absolutely nothing except for the fact that I can just listen to people talk about burgers for a couple of hours.
Or through a movie that you're trying to watch.
Yeah, it's great.
All right.
The writing.
Yeah,
again, the script obviously based off Infernal Affairs, the Chinese film.
Yep.
In Cantonese is so good. It's so well developed into a Western story, and especially in this area of the United States, I think It was done incredibly well. Everything is in the script that you need. Like the characters are all there. The reasons as to why they exist, the reasons as to why they're doing what they're doing, are all very well realized. It's a good one.
Yeah, I'm guessing the way that Scorsese directed this was one thing that I really liked about it, and I don't know how much of this is script and how much of it is screenplay. How the parallels between our two main opposing characters play out through the entire film. How you see what's her name, Madeline, Vera Farmiga. How do you say her name? Farmiga. Vera Farmiga's character, when she moves into Colin's house and brings her belongings, and Colin picks up the photo. He's like, "Oh, that's your cute photo. Yep, that's not going here." That's another reason to punch him in the face. We don't want that in the living room.
He's kind of looking out for her there,
in case guests come around. Yeah.
Because it's a picture that shows where her family lives.
Oh, you reckon?
The house is where her family still lives, and so if Frank was to come over and see that, and he ever needed to entice him to do something, then he could go after her family. So he's kind of protecting her, but it's still not cool. And then when Billy later goes to her house and she's packing up and the same picture's there, just that little subtle, he just picks it up and then looks at her and hangs it up on the wall, and it was such a beautiful moment.
Higher on the wall.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So parallels,
and that's
like
when the moment
that.
she's like, "Oh, this guy's gonna get some."
I'm gonna say yes to him. I wrote a couple of parallels. Of course, when they're in the first stages of Frank grooming Colin's character when he's a boy and sitting there, and he goes, "Oh, you're the son of whoever," and he starts buying him all the stuff. And Frank's character is doing the standover man for the shopkeeper, trying to collect his payment. And then later on, of course, you see the two guys from, where are they from?
Providence.
Providence, the two mafia guys doing the same thing, and Leo's in the diner eating. I'm like, okay, here we go. Here's how he reacts. What a great fight scene, by the way.
Oh, it's so good.
That was really good. Of course, he hurts his hand there, which builds into something later on.
Again, that's the script. It's so well put together.
Amazing. The texting. Whenever they're texting,
text on screen is done really well.
The same angle. They always shoot from really, really low, tight angles. You get the phone really close up, good old flip phone, close up, and they're covertly operating, even when they're doing that sting and they announce no phones. And how good is his texting in the pocket?
Yeah, that was like one of the most unrealistic things in the film, but yeah, he did very well.
And then with Leo's character, he's texting behind the column as well. Oh, no one will know if I'm shooting off a sneaky text here. What's going on? There's automatic weapons. Yep, I'll just boop boop, and you hear the little clicking sound of the phone. Good. Just that, I love that all the way through.
I think
one of my loves in the film.
One of my favorite things about this script is, and this kind of dips back into the character discussion, but I'm going to do it anyway. I really like that they made the characters smart and intelligent. Like, they weren't dumb. The way that they were capable as well. Like they were constantly using disinformation to try and flush out who the other one was.
Yep.
When Queenan talks to Sullivan and says, "Follow Costello and you'll find his rat," like he's instantly like, "Oh, of course. If I start following Queenan, I'm gonna find out who the rat is in the other one." Like he puts it together when he gets the advice from Queenan to just do the exact opposite thing, to try and find out who the other person is. And so the script makes the characters smart and capable, which is just it is so nice and so rare, because most of the time things are foiled so quickly. Like Leo's on the phone saying, "Oh, he's doing something with all new guys. I can't tell you where, I can't tell you when,
because it's disinformation.
It might be disinformation. So hold it to yourself." and we'll see what happens. And that's when he gains the full trust of Costello, who ends up leaving everything to him when he passes. Like, his lawyer's gives everything to Billy because he trusted him the most, which is just such the most middle finger thing to Sullivan ever, and I love it. It was great.
That moment when Frank's character hangs up the phone and he goes, "No, he's not our
Billy.
guy. He's not the snitch." That exhale I did just a moment ago, that was what I did watching the film. I'm like, oh, good, Leo's safe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Apparently not safe.
Safe from Frank. But on the intelligence of the characters, right at the beginning, Dignam's character, Mr. Pottymouth himself, I love how both of them say, in 5 years, you're not going to be a statey anymore. He's like, well, how do you know? Of course I will. Why do you say that? Well, because you got 1400 on your SATs. You're an astronaut.
You're an astronaut. You're not a statey.
They picked him because he's smart. And watching him, again, testament to his acting, like how he flips roles. And the only way he could actually relax was when he was around people he trusted, like Queenan and Dignam, and the psychologist.
The shrink. Yeah, Madeline.
The shrink, that was when he dropped his Boston accent.
Yeah.
And he played his normal role.
He did so well with his
life.
accent. And they set that up really well, where they made him a kind of like a double kid, right? Because he came from
a broken home.
He went to a really good school, and so when he was with his mum, he was at this really nice
class.
school and upper middle class. And then he'd come back down to South Boston on the weekends, hanging with his dad, hanging with his old friends, and so he'd start, dropping his R's and pretending to be that kid from Southie, right? And then the way that he responds to it, where he's like, I'm going to butcher the accent, where he's like, every weekend, Sergeant.
Do it.
But you probably spoke over it, which is probably for the best.
Do it again.
No, it's done. You had your moment. You spoke over it. It's your fault.
Separate audio. I'm going to drop my audio.
You can drop your audio. Damn it, I forgot. Terence edits this podcast. Thank you for making my cheeks red in the last episode. That was really fun.
It was amazing.
Yeah, keeping him really a smart character was great.
Very smart. Even picking up on the psychologist's, he's like, oh, so one of your parents must have been an alcoholic. And it unnerves her to the point where she's like,
it shakes her real hard.
Yeah, really good. I love those.
Was one of yours?
Things.
And he's like, no. She's like, all right, let's keep it with you.
Yeah, he knows that he's got a tail. When Queenan comes, he's like, yeah, you got a tail. Okay, here's the plan. Immediately drops the plan on how to ditch the tail.
Again, a testament to his performance when they're on the roof and he gets the call from the guys and they're like, Queenan's meeting with the guy, we're going to go get him now. And he hangs up the phone and looks at Queenan and he's like, you were followed. And it's just the way that he says it, like, I knew it and you didn't listen to me. Yeah. So good. What a performance.
I was still undecided if Queenan was an operative, like if he was Switch. I was still like, oh no, because when
that's what it does so well.
Yes, because when Billy went to Queenan's house and he's like, there's someone on the inside, there's an FBI informant, what is going on? And he says, come around the back, and offers him dinner and talks about his son going to wherever. And I thought, no, this is a setup. This is bad. But you're right, that's what they did so well.
Yeah, you never knew who was going to turn.
He was such a good guy. Did you notice when Queenan, the fight scene breaks out after Queenan's fall from the building, when Frank's guys speed away in the van, they actually run over the body.
Yeah, I saw that the last time I watched it, and it made me so upset. The poor guy, just let him rest.
Yeah, I know. Well, to put some comedy in that scene, when his body landed in front of Leo, there was this spurt of blood that came out nearly horizontal. That was hilarious.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, great. Injecting humour in, that's perfect. That's exactly how you want to do it. This endearing character goes splat off the roof of a building. Comic blood spray. Great, and then great directing.
Cut straight to him, and there's a pool of blood. There was no way the blood will have spread that. Anyway, yes.
It's awful. I feel horrible.
It's only a movie.
Yeah, very true. No, never say those words again, Terence. Movies are my life. They're all I have. Please
okay,
don't
let's
say
talk.
That.
Let's keep. Let's keep talking about the writing. What about the metaphor in this? What about the meaning of the and this is something I spoke to Leigh just a moment before we started recording. That was the one thing I actually did Google. I don't like before our episodes to research too much about the film, but it was bugging me so much. It was bugging. I don't have time to do that. It was bugging me so much what that building was with the golden dome roof.
Yeah,
now,
the State House?
It's called Massachusetts State House. Now, not living there, obviously, I don't know. That's going to be an obviously recognizable building for anyone who knows it, even probably anyone that lives in the States. So excuse our ignorance from being on the other side of the globe, but
I had no idea.
But it held significance. There are scenes where Colin and Trooper Barrigan are, after that rugby game that they play, and they're sitting there just gazing at State House. And, I was wondering what the significance was. Why
tell us about this building, Terence.
And look, I didn't really have any thought on it because I had no idea what it was. So I couldn't put anything into context, except that it kept popping up. So what I found out was that I found out other people's opinions of it. I'm like, okay, great. And now I can't have my own opinion. But it was either that he was looking at that to aspire to be something better, or maybe he saw himself being in politics, or maybe it was a metaphor for him wanting to be a good person and not live this double life, answering to Frank the whole time. So there was a swathe of things that were thrown out. But in terms of the metaphor that building has, and I also found out that apartment that he rented doesn't actually exist. They composited the image behind the window.
Yeah. I knew that one. I found that one out as well.
And so did you also read that the building that actually would have that view is the university that runs the night courses that he says he's studying law
He's studying
in?
Or
so
he doesn't know.
Cool.
Yeah, Suffolk Knights, I think.
I can't remember.
Or the college.
No, the other one. I think she studied at Suffolk, and he
was at Suffolk, and he's like Harvard. Harvard doesn't do night school.
Yeah. But and also Frank, during the scene of telling Billy that there's a rat, Frank is drawing this incredible artwork of all the rats running to the State House. And if you notice, he actually draws State House with flames burning from the roof.
I didn't look that hard, to be honest.
I did, because I was so like, what is this building? I paused it. And I paused whenever we saw a photo of him, whenever we saw the scenes of him drawing, to see what the drawings were. And so he draws the flames, and then towards the end of the scene, he lights the picture on fire, and he lights it at the point where the image is of the flame. So it was kind of cool. So that metaphor of, maybe you're never going to achieve this, or I don't care about the state, I'm a crim, I'm answering to the FBI, this whole thing is corrupt, it means nothing. I'm just putting that out there.
I honestly thought that you had done research on this building and had some kind of historical thing within its city, which it probably does.
It does.
It has reference to the film, and I thought I was going to learn something about that.
Well, you learned something else. About my thoughts.
I did. About your thoughts on what the metaphors of the State House has in the film. No, that's really good as well. This will definitely be in the time description below. Terence talks State House.
What? Yes.
I love it.
It's relevant. All right.
No, that's wonderful.
So I like that.
I'm done with the script now.
Okay.
Actually, hang on. Before we go to what about whens? Question then. We know that we're talking about rats and State House. This is a very controversial thing on this film. I'm not sure if you're aware about or not. But what is your stance on the very last shot of this film of the CGI rat running across the little banister outside? What do you think? How do you feel?
A bit naff. Like, was it necessary? Maybe it was actually a portrayal of that artwork. All rats masking what State House represents. I don't think it was a CGI rat. It looked CGI. I believe it was a green screened rat running across a thing. It's not hard to get a rat to run across a board, but it looked CGI because it was a false image. It's not a real window looking at that background. That background is composited in.
I think I saw that it was a CGI rat, but I could have read that wrong. No, I think it was. I'm happy to be proven wrong, but until
Please,
now,
comment below.
it's real. So if you're unaware, Terence, this
I thought it was a bit tacky.
Yeah, this scene holds a lot of kind of people being like, oh, really? Like it's such an on the nose metaphor to put right at the end of this amazing film that we've all just witnessed. I'm in the rat camp. I don't mind it. I think it's fine. I think it's nice. I think it suits the narrative quite well. I actually just recently this week watched a film with one of my friends, and I was kind of getting some thoughts on it with her before recording the episode, and I was like, without even bringing it up, I was like, oh, what were some of your favorite moments in the film? And she was like, oh, the rat at the end across the banister, chef's kiss, was what she said.
Wow.
Verbatim. And I was like, whoa, that's such an interesting take on it, because so many people just like vehemently hate that moment in this film. She's like, I thought it was great. It suited the movie so well.
Did she think she was watching Ratatouille?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Or Avengers Endgame, where the rat goes over the console to let Ant-Man.
I don't think it was necessary.
I think it's the same rat.
I actually don't think it was necessary. It did look tacky, especially because it looked so fake. If they just got a real rat to run against a window somewhere, who cares?
So now you're saying it is a CGI rat?
No. Oh, a real rat to run. No, I mean shoot a real scene. Like have a rat run around Colin's dead body at the end.
And this is the divisiveness shown right here between the two of us.
There was there was one other thing I wanted to mention in terms of the writing and the storytelling of it. Oh yes, in terms of this, especially with that metaphor being so blatantly slammed in our face right at the end, I'm not a massive fan of this type of thing where music is used underlying scenes where the song is about what's happening. I think that's way too obvious to do it. But there was one scene...
Jeez, you're going to hate any musical that we put on this calendar.
No, musical, it's there for that reason. That's fine. It's there to help tell the story in a very direct way and to get you to enjoy the music, and it's about the music. So that's very different. When music's used to affect you on a subconscious level, that's where I think... It deserved to be a bit more subtle, and I think this only did it.
There was a few on the nose moments for you.
It does a few on the nose. I won't mention the on the nose ones, but one that I did like was the scene where Jack Nicholson is where Frank pulls that hand out of the bag, and he talks about the Lennon quote where he says, "Hand me a tuba and I can make music." Whatever the quote was, you can make art out of anything.
Give me a tuba and I'll get something out of it.
Give me a what?
He's an artist. Says.
I'm trying to give me an accent.
A tuba and I'll get something out of it.
And I think that also is something that, Frank draws, and he draws whatever's on his mind, but he makes art out of it. And he has artwork in his flat as well that he looks like he's drawn. Anyway, the music that's playing there is actually a John Lennon song while it's there, but it's not obvious that it's a John Lennon song. It's not a massive hit that I
had
recognize.
No idea.
Yeah, so I actually know this because I was watching it with subtitles the second time round, and I noticed the title of the Lennon track. I'm like, oh, and he's talking about... So I like that, but I think this is where maybe it's also a sign of the times, and I think Scorsese did put a few things in there, a lot of Rolling Stones stuff that was like directly relevant.
Yeah, he loves his Rolling Stones.
All right. Yeah, obviously, but because he shot the Stones film, right? The concert thing. I haven't seen that, by the way. Okay, but I wanted to mention that it was something that I noted.
No, that's amazing. Are you keen to go on to the next?
Section? Let's move on to the next section.
Sweet. So here we go. We are in the time codes below. You'll see it popping up right now. We are at What About When. This is a really cool thing that we had an idea of, when you leave a cinema after seeing a movie for the first time with your friends and all you can talk about is just, you haven't really absorbed it yet. So it's just, what about when this and what about when that? So that's how this came about. So it's moments that we watch the movie and we're like, oh, and we've spoken about a bunch of them already, but we're going to go into a little bit more in depth. We'd love some contributions to this. This is where we'd love some audience participation. So hit us up on Twitter or Instagram or in the comments below. You'll see how to reach out to all of us in the description. Otherwise, our email is themoviecal@gmail.com, and we are at themoviecal on Instagram and Twitter as well. You can find all these on the website or in the comments below. So we've actually got a hashtag what about when from Instagram. I believe you had one, Terence, from one of the best handles for Instagram that I've ever seen. I've got it written down here if you want me to do it.
I will do. You know what? You do this one because we have 2 contributions. You do this one.
Okay,
I'll do
sweet.
the other one because it was messaged to me directly. So
Perfect.
I'll
So we've got a DM for Terence. So this one on Instagram from Eats Egg Tarts. I love it. It's so good. Hashtag what about when Fitzy and Delahunt are outside discussing how to spot a cop.
Such a funny scene.
I love this moment, and we were talking a little bit before about how they injected humor into this film, and this is definitely one of those moments where you just have a good laugh with these 2 characters that obviously have known each other for such a long time, and you're having a joke about how to spot a police officer because they're just ignoring you. So most good-looking women are cops, and it all culminates when Billy is leaving the place, the restaurant. And they're just like, you're a cop. And he turns around and he's like, what? It's like, you've ignored us, you're a cop. It's like, all right, I'm gonna go now. Bye. Oh, yeah. Such a fun scene.
I was waiting for them to shoot someone. I actually was waiting for that scene to turn bloody. And I thought, oh no, a lady walking her dog. No. But it turned into
kind
a
of dog
funny
is that?
moment. Yeah. Beautiful women are cops. And the old guy over the road, he's the commissioner.
It was her. She was walking past with the dog. It's like, hey, how are you doing? What kind of dog is that? She's like, oh, well, she ignored us. She must be a cop. And Delahunt's like, she's probably the police commissioner. I have a good laugh.
In that moment as well, that's another, again, going back in our episode here with Billy's character being intelligent. He picked up on very quickly that it was a joke, coincidental, but he made a point of not just walking off. He made a point of doing small talk. Okay, guys, I'll see you later. See ya. I'm going to make it like I'm not ignoring them at all. That was very cool. Quick thinking.
Yeah, thinking about it now, it's actually a really good scene because what it does is it kind of endears you to those characters a little bit more.
Yes.
Which is super pertinent given the fact that the next moment that happens with Delahunt is he gets shot and killed. Which makes it far more impactful. So yeah, that's very clever filmmaking.
Yeah. And then Fitzy is the one who drags him into the marsh. And he's not remorseful of his friend's death or anything. He's like, damn it. How weird is that?
I worked so hard to bury him and they found him that quick. Like I was there all night.
Oh, best of friends. But he can't spell right. He's probably the only character that's dumb in this film.
Or citizens. He can't spell citizens.
Can't spell citizens, yeah. All right. Well, that's a great what about when. Thanks, Eats Egg Tarts.
Yeah, thank you.
I don't know what an egg tart is, but...
Oh, egg tarts are delicious.
What is an egg tart? It's just an egg in a pastry? Doesn't sound very appealing.
No, I'm gonna go in excruciating detail the entire list of an egg tart. I've got the recipe here, ready? And here we go. No, please give us the next what about when.
I was about to do our first swear word if you were to read that out. This what about when is the one that was messaged to me from a friend of mine, Chris.
Thank you, Chris.
What about when Jack Nicholson does that impression thing he does? It's like when he does a funny impersonation of a bat in Tim Burton's Batman. Now, the impression thing that he does is when he's in the restaurant talking to Billy about the rat, and he does that downward thing, and he says there's a rat, and he does his little, and I'm guessing that was an ad-libbed section as well. But that bit, very cool. He actually sent me the little clip because I was like, which bit when he does the impression? Because all I could think is his face. He always looks like a rat if he has that lighting, and he sent me the clip, and I'm like, oh, man, yeah, of course.
It's the scene where he's drawing the state house with the rats and the fire that you were talking about. That is I think that's my favorite scene in the film because it just shows off their talents and how well they sort of bounce off each other as performers. It's outstanding. What a great what about when.
And again, the writing, how Billy was able to flip Frank's thought that he's a rat, to flip his own mind to say, maybe it's one of your own guys.
So clever. Yeah, it flips it to like the only question that you need to ask is who thinks that they can do what you do, better than you, which is not the reason why someone would want to turn on him, but like he flips it in Frank's mind to turn it to that, which then just takes the spotlight off him for long enough that he can survive that confrontation. It was so
perfect.
well written, so clever.
Isn't it like the way to affect a narcissist is to feed their
Make
ego?
it about them. Yeah,
Make it about them. And of course he's like, oh yeah, you're right.
Because he instantly is like, no one can be me. Like a lot of people had to die for me to be me. Yeah, excellent.
That's a great line too.
I know.
Wow, a lot of great lines here. Share your good lines in the comments. Hey.
Oh yeah, if you've got any favourite quotes, drop them down below. That would be amazing.
Yeah.
I've got a couple of what about whens of my own for this film. My first one is what about when Queenan gets thrown off the roof.
Yeah.
It's just, it hits you so hard.
Shot really well.
Yeah, like the slow-mo
That
of him
shot
falling
of
and then
him falling.
the splatter on Leo's face and again, I feel like a broken record, but Leo's performance when he sees who it is and he's clearly in shock.
He starts tearing up.
Then it hits him because he's like, and he doesn't know what to do, and so he goes down and feels his pulse in the most, like, why would you do that moment? Like, of course he's dead. And then he's crying, and then bang, the door just flies open. He's got no time to process this whatsoever before he's got to go back straight into mob mode. Because they're like, where the hell were you? And then he instantly just clicks back into that role with the tears in his eyes still. It is such a good performance.
Yeah.
Yeah, amazing.
It's really, really intense. Really intense. And when you see Queenan's body drop, does Scorsese also drop the sound there? Kind of goes quiet in the slow-mo?
I think it might. I don't know if all sound is drowned out, but definitely...
Not all sound?
Yeah, definitely the diegetic sound of what the characters... I think there might be a bit of wind or something. I don't think it's completely silent. There might be a bit of white noise, but I don't think it's completely silent.
It was really good. There are a couple of my favourite films that actually use the technique of going silent in the highest emotional moments, and that was one for me. I did an audible inhale. I was like, because I did not expect that. That was a great what about when.
I think there's wait, hold on.
Have we got...
No, I think it was it was not a dog. No, I think it was a motorbike or something just drove past. So a loud bike.
All right,
sorry about that.
I have a couple of what about whens. I have what about when it's during the scene where Billy is talking with Madeline. It's his first psych appointment that we see, and he's going through, what if you're standing next to a mass murderer? And he goes, I discovered that I just don't shake. By the way, I love that whole scene, and I love how he just doesn't shake. Yeah. And I started doing that as well.
I tried for so long. I'm not too bad at it, but I tried for so long to see if I could keep my hand steady, and I'm not doing too bad. I do pretty well.
I'm horrible at it. I can't do public speaking. I hold things and I start shaking a lot. I'd be a horrible actor. But in that scene, when he's describing it, he flashes back to when him and Mr. French bust into some guy's house, and he's there in a singlet. It looks early in the morning, and there are toys on the table, and he gets up in a panic, and he's like, no.
He knows he's going to get killed, yeah.
He knows he's in trouble, and he goes, no, please. And Mr. French goes, I ain't going to hurt you. And as soon as he said it, he just pops him in the head.
Headshot. Boom. There are so many headshots in this film. Like, I think every gun death... Whoa, maybe not. I may be speaking out of school a little bit here, because I don't know 100%, but I'm pretty sure every gun death is a shot to the head. And they reference it at the very beginning of the film where Sullivan's in school and the lecturer is like,
yes,
a gunshot will actually, it'll mushroom, the hollow point will hit the head and then mushroom out, and then I think all of the gun deaths are shot in the head. Wow,
good point. I've also got to say, because we've missed a point of it, but I love how he talks about it in terms of dad. Oh, hey dad, just letting you know this is happening, and he says, you call your mother. I love that bit of writing. Great writing as well.
Perfect writing.
All right, I've probably
got my other what about when is another death, and it's when Billy gets shot after he's arrested he's arrested Sullivan, and they're in the lift going down in the same building that Queenan died. And the door just opens, and then he just, no warning, there's just a blood splatter that comes out behind him, and he drops dead. And you see
So
Trooper
sad.
Barrigan standing there with the gun, and then you find out a few moments later that he's also working for Costello in the police department.
Yeah.
So horrific, and even in a film that has so many twists and turns, where you should really be expecting anything to happen, you do not expect this to happen. It completely takes the wind out of you. And then the series of deaths that followed to the end of the movie after that.
At that moment, that's when the other guy, Billy's friend from the academy, who the character's name is Trooper Brown and it's played by Anthony Anderson, he comes around the corner, obviously sees Billy on the ground, and I thought, ooh, what's going to happen? This is going to be a cool standoff. There's going to be
I thought the same thing.
Gone.
No, gone. And then
Barrel
Sullivan
hole.
shoots Brannigan as well. Yeah, it's insane.
Bang, 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 bang. That was an unbelievable scene. That whole thing was what about when for me.
I was so glad to see Sullivan get, unless I'm jumping the gun here,
Oh,
and you've
yeah.
got it as a what about when.
You know what it is? The last
We're
scene.
here. Yeah, Sullivan
When
at the
Sullivan
very end of the
cops it.
film, walking into his apartment, carrying his groceries, carrying the groceries that he gets at the beginning of the film as a kid, where Frank is like, give him a couple of loaves of bread, a couple of quarts of milk. That's what he has in his bag when he walks into his apartment. He's got a couple of loaves of bread and a couple of quarts of milk.
How do you know this?
Before he gets shot, huh?
How do you know this?
Because you see it. You see the bag when he's on the shot. It blows flows out and the bread comes out, and you see the milk in the bag. So I thought that was a really nice little nod to the beginning of the film, which you'd have forgotten about because this movie is again 2 hours and 40 minutes long.
Yes. Okay.
It has so much stuff happen.
I like that.
I forgot to write it down, but I know that this movie is really famous for having a long time in between starting and then its opening title card of The Departed coming up. I think it's like 12 minutes or something the movie goes for before it comes up with the title card of The Departed, because it's when
Really?
it's when Billy's in prison is when it comes up, when they're playing the first round of the song that's the film is renowned for by the
Murphys.
Dropkick Murphys.
Dropkick Murphys.
Yeah.
Oh man, they play the start of that song about 4 times, and 3 of them happen bang on top of each other during the last scene, the last fight scene with Francis getting
They
shot.
do so well at setting up these two characters first, and then the movie starts. Like, cool, we know where these two people are. This guy is a cop, and now this guy is a criminal, and then away we go. And however long, I think it's about 12 minutes before the title card comes up.
Wow. I can't
it's
even
a
remember
long
seeing
time.
it.
Exactly. It's like it's not at the beginning of the film at all.
Wow.
Courteous of time.
Can I just quickly rattle off a couple of others? I say
Let's
rattle
go.
like there's lots, but there's not so
Rapid fire. Speed round.
What about when Colin and Frank shoot each other? When Colin falls back into the
That's incredible.
earth moving equipment.
Yeah. The blood splatter out of Frank's mouth when he gets
man.
shot is great. I love
So
that. What
cool.
a fun scene.
What about when Wahlberg shoots Matt Damon's character? Yes, that
Got
last
that
scene,
one,
very
yep.
cool. What about Dignan's potty mouth, especially in that very first scene where you see them? I spoke about that earlier, but that first scene was beautifully put. I had no
Can't quote that one.
warning for that. He drops the C-bomb and like, whoa, this is, here we go.
Which I think that's
very
probably
cool.
more effective in the US than it is kind of in Australia. I mean,
I
yes,
think
it's a
it's
horrible word,
effective.
but it's like that word in the US is like razor blades and knives flying through the air. Like, whereas in Australia,
It's still not,
it's still like it's not a good.
is
It is not a good word in
extremely
Australia,
frowned
but
upon.
you hear it in Australia. You
Yeah.
hear it more. I'd say you'd hear it more here than what you would in the US.
I've heard that as well. Yeah, it's used more freely here.
Yes.
But just hearing it in any film, whether it's an Australian film or not, that it shocks me a little bit. I'm like, whoa, now I'm feeling weird.
It's not a natural thing to hear it in cinema.
No.
There's a film that happens in it. It's so well used in a movie. I can't think of it right now. I might think of it in a sec. Keep going with your rapid fire.
When when Colin and Billy are talking in the office for the very first time, after Billy comes back after Queenan is killed, and he's in the office, he's like, good, yeah, I'm going to go in now. I need my bonus. And they're talking. The anxiety that I felt watching those two interact and waiting for Colin's character to kind of do something. I was on edge the whole time. I just couldn't.
Yeah, very suspenseful.
Yeah, very, very suspenseful. What about when they lose the tail? So they're Frank's in the car, and Colin has just finished chatting up Madeline in the lift, and then he calls. He goes, "Oh, hey, Dad. Sorry, I forgot. You got a tail."
Yeah,
forgot to tell you the other guy was
department.
with me. And the reason it's a what about when is because Frank's car loses the tail by running a red light.
Yeah.
And my what about when is because it's something that I love and I remember very clearly from watching Beverly Hills Cop. The first Beverly Hills Cop film, and Eddie Murphy's character loses the tail of the cops by waiting a red light at a green light and keeps his foot on the brake, and when it turns red, he screams through it and loses the cops the same way. I just thought, that was really cool. I love that. But that's my what about whens. We've spoken about other things through the film as well. Lots of notable quotes in the film that I won't go through, but nearly all of them come out of Mark Wahlberg's mouth.
Well, we're gonna jump to the moment we've all been waiting for, the whole reason why this podcast exists.
Yeah.
Where it is now time to place The Departed onto the movie calendar. So the idea is to fill a 365-day calendar with amazing pieces of cinema, and then once it's all finished, we can distribute it out, and so that on any given day, if you're struggling to figure out what to watch, you can just open up the calendar and be like, oh, cool, this day, The Departed. I'll watch The Departed. You can purchase it or rent it or find it on a streaming service.
Yeah.
To take the thought process out of it, trying to make the lives a little bit easier for you. And now we have a contribution for this one. So again, we would love some contributions for these. If you have any ideas as to when a particular movie should fall on a certain date, please let us know, and we'll add it on the calendar just for you. So we've got the same person who gave us the what about when for Instagram. Again, Eats Egg Tarts. Love it. So good. Has given us the date for this one, and it is November 17th. Here it is here on the screen. And the reason for this date is because this film nabbed Martin Scorsese his first Best Director Oscar. He was nominated, I think, 5 or 6 times before this one, and then he finally got it for this film. And in a great speech, he kind of came out and was like, "Oh, are you sure? Can you check again?" In a very sweet way. And so November 17th is actually Martin Scorsese's birthday. And so to celebrate that,
nice.
we'll pop The Departed on the day just for that. So thank you for the suggestion, and that's where it's going to go, November 17th.
Martin, you're welcome. This is our gift to you.
Yeah,
you can thank
I'm sure
us.
that he could probably think of some better things to do on his birthday than to watch The Departed, but now you can. Now you've got a date to watch it. Everyone watching this. Oh my god! I just realised I haven't done my Oscars segment yet. Should we quickly do the Oscars segment before we announce what next week's film's going to be? It'll be in the time codes below. I think this is super fun, so I want to put it in.
Do it, and then you have to promise me you do your Oscar segment, and I have questions. I get a segment.
Oh my god, this is going to be the longest episode yet. We're going to do this very quickly. All right, so Leonardo DiCaprio was not nominated for Best Actor for this film or Best Supporting Actor because he didn't want to. He didn't want to go up against and campaign against his fellow actors in the Best Supporting Actor category for this one.
Were they all up for it?
No. And
okay.
No one was.
Okay.
So for the best, for Best Supporting Actor, Mark Wahlberg was nominated. Didn't win, but he was nominated. Cool. And for Best Actor, Warner Brothers went with same year Blood Diamond came out, and they favoured him. They favoured Leo for Blood Diamond. He ended up losing to Forrest Whitaker in an amazing performance from for the film that he did that year.
Was that the one about the king?
Yeah, Last King of Scotland.
Last King of Scotland. I did see Blood Diamond actually.
Yeah,
I thought he was
I watched that
bringing
quite
that.
recently, actually, a few weeks ago, just randomly before we decided to do this. But yeah, he wouldn't campaign for it.
Wow,
so
very
they were just
honourable.
like, well, they just wouldn't pay. They just wouldn't do it. So I'm not sure
Okay.
how campaigning works with it all. But yeah, that's really really interesting. I thought, because every actor in this film deserves to be nominated and win. To be fair, that would have been a really interesting race between all of them. See who got it. Leo was absolutely the standout. He should have got it. All right, quick rapid fire questions, and then we'll announce what we're doing next week.
All right, here we go. Why is Billy's drink of choice cranberry juice? He's seen drinking it before. It's made a thing of. He's drinking cranberry juice. All right. Why?
I don't know. He probably just enjoys it, and he probably doesn't like to drink alcohol, I guess.
He's got to stay right because he's undercover.
Stay right, yeah. Sets the character up to not ever get drunk.
If you were gonna pay $1 million, and I'll say it like this, $1 million, because what an absurdly small amount of money for however many microprocessors you're buying, only $1 million. Why wouldn't you check that they're actual the microprocessors that you want? You've got a guy from the government there who is what? Okay, that didn't make any sense. Is Frank's girlfriend the young girl from the shop? The very first scene that we see?
Oh, I don't know. I don't think so.
Okay.
I think she was a bit older. Because I know that the characters age up, because there's kids in the diner, and she has also aged up as well. I think that character is even older than that.
Yeah, she would be a bit older, and she looked like she could be a bit older than Colin's character. So that's a question there. What did Frank give Colin after the graduation from the academy?
I don't know.
All right.
That's open to interpretation.
Probably
I kind of don't want to know.
No, you don't want to. I'll tell you what it was. It was a burner SIM card.
Probably.
Okay.
I kind of don't want to know. Kind of like I don't want to know what's in the suitcase for Pulp Fiction.
Yep. Okay. Good. I just wanted to throw that out there. What's in the envelope that Billy gives the psychiatrist to hold? Billy gives the psychiatrist something to hold. He says, if something happens to me...
It would have been information that he was a police officer working undercover and all the stuff, because he's like, open this if something happens to me. So if something happened to him before he could get the information to where it needed to go, then he's got that as a backup, because he's a smart character.
Yeah. Okay, my last question. How did Mark Wahlberg's character know that Colin was the rat?
Billy would have sent him the information.
Oh,
or that might have been what was in the envelope for Madeline. It could have been reach out to Dignam. I'm sure he had so many fail safes.
Yeah.
In place so that Colin would have been found out.
Yeah. Okay.
There's no way you do your life's work, however many years he was there. At any point knowing that he was going to die and not have a plan as to get him.
Oh, yes. Look, well, they're my questions.
Good questions, yeah.
I didn't, and my another question was, what's with this gold domed roofed building, which I ended up going, I don't know. Stand it.
If anyone knows, or if anyone lives in the area, we might have some new viewers that are from the Boston area. If you have some information about the history of the state building, of the state house, just let us know. I would genuinely be curious to know. So with that, next week we're going to be talking all about quite a recent film, actually, from 2019, I believe. One of my more recent favorite films. Terence hasn't seen this one, so it'll be a first time watch for him before going in. But he is confident in my recommendation to add this one to the calendar. So thank you for the confidence there. But we are going to be watching Spike Lee's Black Klansman. Yeah, I'm very excited to talk about this film. So that'll be episode 9, and then episode 10 will be a superhero film that I can't wait to talk about as well. You can, if you're on YouTube, you can see the superhero paraphernalia behind me. Can't wait to get into that one. It's going to be a long one, even longer than this one.
No.
Thank you everyone for joining us. No, it's going to be great. Thank you everyone, and thank you to Terence. Hit us up on Twitter, Instagram. Check out our website. If you haven't subscribed and you've made it this far, jump on and do that. Give us a like on YouTube, or if you've made it to the end of the audio version, congratulations. If you'd like to leave us a nice little review, on your podcast app of choice, that would be super helpful for us, and we'd really
Tell your
appreciate
friends. Tell your friends.
Yeah, share it. Share it with someone who you think might like it. Would be is a good idea as well.
Yeah. Hope you like it, those that are listening and watching. But yeah, it's very, very good. A lot of fun, Leigh. Thank you.
Yeah, that was a good one. I really enjoyed it. Thank you so much, Terence.
All right. Well, until next week.
See you next week, everyone, for Black Klansman.
See you later.
Bye.